Okay, everyone, we're going to go ahead and get started with the eLounge today. Thank you all for joining us live, and then those of you who are watching this as a recording, welcome back to our eLounge series. We're continuing our Google October theme, and today we will be talking about sheets and slides. Heather Davis and Corinne Walker are back with us today talking about how we can enhance our tips or maybe use Google Sheets or Slides for the first time. So if you have questions while we are doing our presentation, please feel free to type them in the chat box, which is located to the left-hand corner of your screen. Heather and Corinne will answer those questions as we are moving along. Heather will be presenting and Corinne will be working our chat box on the left-hand side, so please feel free to use any of those during the time. Without further ado, Heather, I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to you and take it away.
Hi, everyone. Hopefully you can see and hear me. Back again, as Jessica said, excited to talk to you about two more apps available through Google and your TW account, Sheets and Slides. Again, I'm here with Corinne Walker. She's going to be helping you out in the chat box. She's the Senior Learning Technologist for TW, and we are both in the Office of Technology. I'm glad you're here. So we'll start off with Google Sheets. And Google Sheets, what is it? It's essentially online Microsoft Excel. It's as robust. You have all the formulas and functions and charts, all of those kinds of things, but they're available to you on any computer that is connected to the internet. You don't have to have the Microsoft Office suite. Also, you can collaborate with others. There's chat and comments to make it even more social and open for collaboration. And you can use live collaboration with revision history so that you can see any of the changes that anyone has made. I see a question here, is Sheets free? Yes, all of the Google apps are free for TW students. You have your account and that gives you access to all of the apps that we've talked about and we'll talk about and more. And also Google Sheets are accessible on mobile devices, which can be really handy. You can publish them to the web. There are templates available. Just a really good basic spreadsheet function. So to create a sheet, you have two ways that you can start. You can start on the Sheets homepage, which is sheets.google.com, and click the red plus to create a new spreadsheet. Or if you're in your Drive, you can click the big red New button on the left, and then click on Google Sheets, and that will get you started. And to enter and edit your data, it's fairly straightforward. The first thing it's going to want you to do is to rename your spreadsheet. You'll need to do that before you're able to share it with anyone or collaborate on it. And you can always rename that, and that's no problem. And with Google Sheets, as with other Google apps, saving is happening all of the time, so you don't have to remember to hit that Save button, which is really great. You can click in any cell and just start typing. And if you need to insert anything, notes or functions, charts, images, anything like that, you'll just use Insert on your menu function, sorry, and you can see there all the different kinds of things that you can insert. So again, it's fairly robust for an online program. You've got lots of different customization options. You've got undo and redo, just like you would in Microsoft Office. You can copy formatting. You can format your data as a number or percent, as currency. You can change the font size, color, or underline. You can create cell borders. You can merge cells. You can align text. You can filter, and you can add functions. All of those are possible. Kayla's asking if she can work on Sheets on her phone. You can. I would just do it for small edits, just because the way that it works is it's set up so that basically you can't mess up what has already existed. So you have to go in and sort of double tap on a cell to be able to edit it. And then when you're done editing, you click a checkbox that sort of says OK, and then that would allow you to scroll around on the spreadsheet. So I probably wouldn't to start from scratch unless you're just doing a really simple spreadsheet, but it is entirely possible to edit. And of course, with a laptop or a tablet, that's going to be, you'll have full function, and it'll be a lot easier to do. Good questions, guys. Keep them coming. So columns and rows, that's basically all spreadsheets are, right? So you can use insert to add rows and columns. You can also, if you're on a computer, use your right click to insert. You can delete and hide rows and columns. You can move them around, and you can freeze your header row. Not everyone knows that that's also something you can do in Microsoft Excel, and you want to use that view freeze, and that's the same function in Excel and in Google Sheets. And what that'll do is you can take that top row where you have your headings, and we'll freeze it at the top, so when you're scrolling through all of your data, those nice headings stay at the top of the screen. That's a really cool trick if you didn't know about it. I love it a lot. April's asking if you can share your file with multiple people by link, or do you have to send the file? You can do both. It's up to you. With share, you can just hit the share button in the upper right corner, and that's going to be true of any of the Google apps, and then just start typing first names and last names, or if you know email addresses, you can copy and paste those in. You can also do file and then send as an email and include the file as an attachment if you just wanted to make it available to someone to review. You can also copy the link and for the file and send that out to anyone that you wanted. And with all of your sharing functions with Google Apps, you have the opportunity to decide on an individual basis whether the person can edit, whether they can comment, or whether they can only view. And you can always change that, so you might give them editing permission at first and then lock it down so that they could only view it later. Not everyone who has access to the file has to have the same sharing permissions. Those can be set individual by individual. So it's very helpful. And the nice thing about it is if you're collaborating on it, you don't have to keep emailing files back and forth and you don't know which version anyone's working on. You can all work in the document online at the same time, and you've got that revision history if you need to go back and see an earlier version or who did what or those kinds of things. It's very handy, especially for group work. So printing is entirely possible with G Sheets. You just file print or click the printer icon and print as usual. You can also change your document format, and this is true of all the Google apps as well. So for G Sheets, you can choose to file and then download as an Excel, Adobe, a CSV, a web page, all different kinds of files, just depending on what you want to do with the documents. And then emailing the sheet, so again, you can email as attachment, as I mentioned before. You can also turn it into a PDF if you wanted to sort of lock it so that someone couldn't edit it quite as easily. And then just enter the email addresses and click send. So getting started with Google Sheets, this is just the very basics. The Google Learning Center has a lot of information about all of their apps. They built them, so their training is fantastic and always updated. Learn.googleapps.com, and for Sheets, it's /products/sheets. Are there any other questions right now about Google Sheets before I move on?
Doesn't look like
it. Clarify. Oh, yes, sorry.
I'm sorry. I was just bopping in and saying that it does not look like we have any questions.
And what I was going to say was that your faculty all have Google Apps accounts, so if you need to send a spreadsheet in for an assignment, you can send that link to them and they should be able to open it right up. So there's no problem there with access for faculty. We all have access to all of the Google Apps at TWU. All right, we're going to move on and talk about slides. So slides, again, very cool. It's a presentation program. It's essentially a mobile version of Microsoft PowerPoint. Very cool. You've got themes available. You can do layouts. You can add shapes, formatting, animations. Again, you've got that ability to live collaborate, which is very helpful, especially if you're working on a group project. You can sort of build out the project, and then everyone knows which sections they're assigned to. And so you can sort of watch the presentation be filled in as more and more people put their pieces of the presentation together. So again, not having to send files back and forth or trying to upload it to Dropbox or any of that mess. Just have the one document, everyone has access through sharing, and it can be easy peasy. Again, it's mobile. Again, it's going to work, it'll work on your phone. It's just going to be a little bit difficult maneuvering, but definitely something you can do. You can add speaker notes. Again, you can convert the slides when you're done. You can use images, shapes, videos, animations, all kinds of things. And to create a presentation, you can go to slides.google.com and click the red plus to create a new presentation. Or if you're at drive.google.com, you'll click the new button, and then you'll have to click more and then Google Slides. So it's just one little extra step to get to the Google Slides for TWU. And themes, it's going to ask you to pick a theme first. So you can pick any of these themes. I recently found this website, slidescarnival.com, and I am in love with it. It's free themes that you can find whichever one you want. They all look beautiful. These slides that we created today, we created with Google Slides using a theme from Slides Carnival. So I definitely recommend checking those out because you'll get all kinds of icon sets. You get great new fonts that you can use, and they just look really slick. So if you haven't found that out, you can also download those templates into Microsoft PowerPoint if you prefer to use PowerPoint. It's up to you. Okay, I don't see any questions, so I'm going to keep going. And the themes that you'll see from Google, they're very basic. And again, it's because Google is made to be mobile. And to be mobile, it has to be a little bit lighter than Microsoft Office, but it also has to work cross-platform. It has to be able to work on multiple browsers. Google understands that people have all different kinds of operating systems that they're using in different years and versions. So they try to make things as streamlined as possible so that it's collaborative and mobile. But you can get fancy, so it's good. So adding content, again, you're going to want to start by renaming your presentation, especially if you want to share it. You'll have to give it a name before you can share it. To add text, you'll just do insert text box. I've been using Google Slides a lot lately for design purposes if I'm collaboratively designing something, because I can use those text box, add images, add shapes, and you can easily move things around more easily than, say, in a Google Doc where it's built more for word processing, and so it's harder to manipulate what's going on inside of the file. So that's another option for Google Slides if you want to do that. You can add images, videos, and more. What's really nice is if you have an internet-based image or video, you can actually just capture the URL and insert it that way, and then that way you're not uploading the same content over and over and over again to the internet, which is nice because we may eventually run out of space. I don't know. You can also add notes for talking points, which is very helpful if you're giving a presentation. Let's see here. And customization again, to create a new slide, you'll just use that plus button, undo and redo, copy formatting, you've got zoom, you can select, you can add a text box, image, shape, or line, you can change the layout, you can change the theme, you can add transitions, you can format your font, you can insert hyperlinks, insert comments. So if you're working collaboratively on a presentation, you can use those comments to clarify or ask each other questions. And again, if you're collaborating live, you'll have a chat box that is an option as well that you can chat with each other while you're working. You can add bulleted lists and change background colors, lots of customization options. So arranging your slides, fairly simple. You can click and drag to move slides around. You can also right-click and duplicate or delete slides that way. That's very handy. And that's basically it. Pretty straightforward. Presenting. So when you're ready to preview or present, you'll see in the upper right-hand corner this little present button. So you just click on that, and then you can either use this little menu that pops up to go to transition the slides or pause them, look at additional settings, or you can just use the space bar or a mouse to move the slides forward and back. And yes, Kayla, the question, you can work on the same project from different computers, absolutely. Anyone who has an internet connection can get into the Google presentation, the slides, and work together. It's really fantastic. Again, just like G Sheets, with Google Slides, you can print, file print, or the printer icon. And you can change the document format. So if you need to download it into PowerPoint, you want to turn it into a PDF, you want to take individual slides and turn them into graphics, that's what the scalable vector graphics are. The PNG and JPEG are also graphics files that you could choose. You could either export all of the slides as image files or just individual slides if you wanted, if you were doing some of the design things I was talking about earlier, which is very handy. So getting started with Google Slides, again, we recommend the Google Learning Center, learn.googleapps.com/products/slides if you're working specifically on slides. And I'll take another moment here. Again, you can learn more on your own. At learn.googleapps.com, they have these great tips, and it's just a little screen that has these little cute boxes that just have quick tips that if you want to learn more about slides or any of these other apps, you can go find those tips and learn something that I probably don't know, which is even better. And then tell your friends and use these free applications to their fullest, which is a really fantastic thing. So last chance for questions.
What a great session, Heather. I think this is great. First of all, I just have to take a moment and tell all of you that are on here for our eLounge today, thank you so much for all of your interaction within the eLounge. I think this was a great session, being able to communicate through the chat box and be able to answer questions live in real time. I really enjoyed that, so thank you so much for being a part of this during the entire presentation, not just at the end. I don't see any questions yet, Heather, but I wanted to take a moment and just pitch for all of you who are interested in being part of the t-shirt raffle for today. If you could please, in the chat box, put in your TWU email address so we can write that down and we can email our random winner of the day. I still don't see any questions, but I do have a question, and this might be one that may be a long answer, I'm not sure, but with the live saving, let's say you do something and you completely did not mean to do that. Are there ways that you can, like if the undo button is not an option anymore, is there a way that you can restore the sheets to what they were beforehand, or what are your thoughts on that, Heather?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing you're going to want to do is hit that Control-Z, and I can tell you that recently Google Sheets saved me. I was working on a spreadsheet for students who had actually completed a survey and won a prize, and for some reason I had gone in and I had deleted email addresses or something that I really needed to have. And I was stressing a little bit about it, and I was distracted, I was doing something else, and then I thought, wait, let me look at the revision history. And I'd never really messed with it that much, never really played with it to see what it could do. But I popped that file, see revision history, opened that up, and I was able to step back step by step by step till I got to the point that had the email address that I needed. And I was able to just pull that information out, go back to my most recent version, so nothing changed. I was just able to do a little bit of research and then able to keep working on what I was working on. Whereas if I didn't have that, if I had saved it in Excel, and I couldn't do the undo and couldn't step back in that way, because I'm not obviously I'm not saving versions every 5 seconds when I'm working in Excel. I would have had to go back to the students and say, oh, I'm sorry, I don't know who submitted this. Could you tell me? You know, just really embarrassing. So it was fantastic to be able to do that.
Great. Heather, we have another question. I think that Kayla, I feel like this is kind of on the way to answering or following along with your answer, is what if you delete your whole project? Is there a way to restore it from there, Heather?
Yes, so you should be able to go into the delete file and find your projects. If you shift delete from there, it may be a more involved process of contacting the service desk to see if they can put in a ticket to the Google support to recover the file. But if you just hit delete on a file, it should go into your trash, which you can get to from drive.google.com, and you should be able to recover that way. I recommend not deleting anything because you have unlimited storage space on your drive, so just save everything. You've got the robust Google search. You can always quickly find things that way. In Drive, you also have the recent icon on the left. You can click there to see what you've most recently been working on. So I say don't delete, but if you happen to do it, there are different ways to recover.
I have to say that I agree with you, and I personally, instead of deleting on my Google Drive, I have my projects are by semester. So if it's something that I'm not actively using, I will tuck it all away in the semester that it was used. For those of you who are in your major degree or your major classes, that might be helpful in the long run for you as well.
Absolutely. And if you want to use something from a prior semester, you can always go back and open up that file and then select File from the menu and then make a copy. And then you can rename that and move it wherever you want to move it. So if you had a presentation that you really liked, you want to reuse the template or some of the wording. If you had like a certain group project that you liked the way that was set up, you can always copy that over and then clean out the content a little bit and just reuse the framework.
Great, thank you so much. My final question, if we don't have any other questions from our audience, is, are there any other training opportunities for students to come on campus to learn about some Google tutorials, or are we already done for the semester?
That's a great question. We had 2 live tutorials this semester. We have one specifically in the residence halls for residential students. And then last week we had one in the Arts and Sciences building on the Denton campus. We are looking to offer more training in spring. We have learning technologists in Dallas and Houston, so we're hoping that we can open that training up to students on those campuses. We're definitely encouraging students to also use lynda.com because that's on-demand training, on the go, when you need it. You can just do snippets of videos to get some quick tips to learn what you need at that moment. You can sign yourself up and create playlists. You can do whole courses. So that's not face-to-face, but it does meet the need of our students because, you know, we have a large distance population. Everyone is working and volunteering and going to class and going to the gym and doing all kinds of things that prevent us from being able to really offer face-to-face training in a way that we can reach any sizable amount of students. So we definitely encourage you to look at that. But I would say that in November, our Students Advisory Committee for Technology is going to be out and about on all of our campuses, and they're going to be asking questions about what kind of training you want, what format you want it in, when we should offer it. And if you have thoughts about that between now and then, you can always send me an email and let me know. My name is Heather Davis, and my email is hdavis1@twu.edu. Corinne and I want to be able to offer the training that you need, so just tell us what you want, and we will do the best we can to accommodate you. And someone said that they liked my question, Kitty, and I appreciate that. I like her too. She's very cute.
Thank you so much, Heather. I think that that is going to round out the session for today. But just so, oh, thank you, April. I see your comment. I really appreciate that. We appreciate you. Make sure that if you have not already, please put in your TW email address into the chat box so you can be entered to win a t-shirt, a computer services t-shirt. But for everyone else, thanks so much for attending. And for those of you who are watching the recording, thank you for your attendance as well. With that, we're going to wrap it up, and we hope you have a wonderful afternoon.